I went over most of the skills and abilities that we know about in Assassin's Creed Valhalla already in previous videos, but after some extra digging, I found even more high-end things that we can unlock for every playstyle. Skills that I don't think many people know about. So in this video I want to highlight them, compare them to skills and tools that we might have seen in previous games and way more. So quite some interesting stuff to discuss. A like on the video would really help the channel out. And let's go. As you might know, I'm currently doing an August giveaway for a 2020 game of your choice on your platform of choice, and you can participate by clicking the link in the pinned comment, and you also have to be a subscriber of the channel if you want to participate. And I will announce the winner of the Ultimate Edition giveaway in the upcoming Sunday video, so very soon. Let's start with a skill that we actually discussed around the launch of Valhalla, but that we did not see in action. It's a bear skill called the Heavy Dual Wield that Prestige Ski actually used in one of his videos, and I will leave a link to it in the video description. This will let you dual wield heavy weapons that are normally two-handed weapons, so then you can have a spear and a two-handed axe in both hands, or other combinations are of course possible. Something that should totally change the combat up quite a lot. In this B-roll footage we see Eivor with a two-handed spear in her right hand performing some powerful attacks, while also being able to do the extremely OP one-handed axe attack in the left hand. So yes, you can have a two-handed weapon and a one-handed weapon as a combination, but also two-handed weapons as we see in the footage from Prestige Ski, and we see him do some cool whirlwind type of attacks. So the possibilities thanks to this skill are really insane. The skill notes that this will alter the stats and handling of each weapon, maybe meaning that we will not be able to benefit from the full stats of both two-handed weapons. Like in the demo we could use the Raven Beak, a two-handed Dane axe with 86 attack, while a regular one-handed bearded axe has 69 attack. So you could see why having two-handed weapons of 86 attack could be a little too strong. But yeah, they are of course still tweaking things, so I'm curious how it will be in the final game. Terror is another bear skill that you can get a little later on. After you kill an enemy, weaker enemies will cower in terror, which kind of reminds me of the fear mechanic from Ghost of Tsushima, where of course as your legend grows, the enemies will be quicker to run and crawl away after you kill an enemy. So pretty cool how Valhalla already thought of something like this before Ghost came out, because this skill was of course in the works way before Ghost of Tsushima released. A skill we already saw in that deep dive trailer is called the counter roll. It's a Raven skill, so it's mostly for the assassin playstyle, where bear is for warrior and wolf is for hunter. So this lets you vault over the target if you dodge the enemy just before the hit lands, so then you are suddenly behind them and can likely do some increased damage. So it would be pretty cool to master this for sure. For Wolf, we got the Hunter Bow combo that has you perfectly time your next shot. Because if you namely release your arrow as you finish drawing it, then the next arrow draw will be faster. So that's also really awesome. I really love how in Valhalla they made archery way more interesting than in the previous games from the looks of it. We already talked about the weak point system in a previous video. Every enemy has this glowing weak spot if you aim, and if you then hit that weak spot, then you can perform a stun attack to finish them off. And now we also on top of that have this Hunter Bow combo. So really cool. I will totally be doing more archery stuff in Valhalla, that's for sure. An high-end assassin ability that I found during my play session is called Assassin's Cantrip, that instead of a dodge has to do with parries. Following a successful parry, quickly press Y to throw a smoke bomb at your feet and disappear. So yeah, smoke bombs are back in this game, and maybe unlimited, as it seems to be something you can do multiple times if you just do the parry and hit Y really fast. Also interesting is how you see the circle around you get larger, covered in smoke. It's a pretty big area. So then you go into the shadows again and maybe can assassinate the target. It at least doesn't throw the enemies on the ground, so you can like do a sick combo as we saw in Origins. And there's another Raven skill that also is kind of similar to what we saw in Origins, called Miasma. Remember in Origins where you could poison corpses to then hit surrounding enemies? Well, it's kind of like that. In Valhalla, if you kill enemies with one of your poison attacks, they will release toxic clouds around them, infecting those who enter. So that could create this huge snowball effect, of course, and the two poison abilities that we know of so far are the ranged poison strike, adding poison to your next arrow, and the regular poison strike that applies it to a melee weapon. We can pickpocket NPCs again in restricted areas. I think it's just similar to what we saw in Odyssey, so looting things in the area. And if you unlock this skill, then you get adrenaline for doing so, and that's actually super powerful. So instead of having to kill enemies, you gain adrenaline by sneaking around and looting a chest. Really good. Of course, this is a work in progress Valhalla version, so I think that sometimes the videos that we see for these skills are work in progress. We saw that with Odyssey and the E3 build as well. Videos for skills that were shown there were redone for the final game. Here we namely got the Battleground Bolt, where it says press Y to pick up the nearest discarded weapon and automatically throw it at an enemy in sight. But in the video we see Eivor shoot a bow to a significantly slowed down enemy. Maybe the video is mixed up, because the text does sound like something that we actually got some footage of. Here we see Eivor fighting, and then you already see the prompt saying throw next to the spear. And if you then actually go towards it and grab it with Y, then you can throw that weapon to the enemy, dealing some pretty nice damage, and I like the jumping animation as well. In the gameplay overview trailer, we also saw Eivor do this mid-air grabbing the spear and then throwing it back to the target, breaking his defense. So there will be quite a lot of options to use the weapons from the enemies against them, which is pretty cool. We also saw Eivor at one point in the demo shoot the arrow back to the target as a sort of counter attack. So maybe that's another reactive move we can do. And there should be even more possible, like setting traps onto corpses, as we also briefly see in the B-roll footage. And there was this slow time aim at an enemy, and then the arrows actually went to multiple targets. Like, I really think we've just seen the tip of the iceberg in terms of possibilities and skills we can unlock. Like Feign Death, that ability that lets you fake your death, should also be in this game, but we haven't seen it yet. When we know more about abilities, skills, or anything else in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, I will of course let you know here. I might have a video coming up about potential legacy outfits. Just subscribe to stay up to date on that. A like on the video would really help the channel out. Totally check out my weekly Assassin's Creed Valhalla podcast, where we discuss the weekly news and way more. I will also leave a link to it in the pinned comment. And you can also watch my previous video on more early game skills by clicking on the screen. For now though, I will speak to you next time, and goodbye.